Hi, I'm Mark Nyman from the RBL Group. I'm going to spend a few moments talking about some principles that we've learned about some keys in building an effective internal team to help work on a transformation effort. I've spent a lot of time coaching youth sports. I love sports, I love working with youth, and there's some things I've learned from coaching youth sports that I think actually apply to this principle of how do we actually build an internal team. One of the things that I've learned is that you need people to play different roles. Having great talent obviously is important, but if you don't have people who are willing to play different roles and people who have different perspectives, building an effective baseball team or an effective basketball team can be a real challenge. Well, the same is true with building an internal team from a transformation standpoint. A couple things that we have found that are really critical is, and probably the most important thing, is you need people who have high credibility. Part of having an internal team, one of the reasons for doing that is it actually helps you with the change management part of a transformation effort. If you have people on the team who don't have high credibility, it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it really becomes difficult to get the traction in the organization that you need as changes are announced and people find out where the organization is headed. If the people involved in the design don't have credibility, it makes that more challenging. Another aspect of creating a team is you need good representation. You need a cross-section of people from different departments and different levels in the organization to be involved in the effort. So when you form that internal team, keep in mind that you need a good slice, both hierarchically in the organization and also from the various departments that are impacted by whatever change you might be implementing. A couple of personal attributes that we find that are really critical. One is you need people who are open-minded. People who are really, really heavily invested in the past, it may help them to be part of the effort, but it can also really slow the effort down. So we like to recommend to organizations find people who are open-minded. Related to that is finding people who are innovative, people who are creative, people who you've experienced that can actually find new ways of doing things or who are open to new ways of doing things. I've worked with several internal teams who selected someone they had recently hired just because they knew that person came from a different company and actually would bring a fresh view on how things could be done. Whatever way you go about that, finding people who are innovative is really important to the change effort. Another thing to keep in mind is how do you actually keep the business engaged? If this is an HR transformation effort or some other department or function in the business, it's very important that those people in the organization who receive your services are not only accepting of what you've done, but hopefully they're going to be excited about the changes that you're making. Now, there's different ways to involve them. You may want to just go out and have them give you information. You may want to have them comment from time to time. Those are both great ideas. But if you can find somebody from the line and from the heart of the business who can be part of the transformation effort, who can be part of that internal team, we find that's actually very helpful and a critical part of the effort. Finally, one of the things to keep in mind with this is we talk in the book how in most change efforts, 20% of the people in most organizations will support almost any new creative idea that comes out. And interestingly, there's usually around 15 or 20% of the people who will fight almost anything that you do. It really is that target of that middle 60%, that's where the difference gets made in terms of making change successful. How do we get that 60% of the folks to start moving and supporting and really getting behind the changes that we're trying to make? If you do a good job in building your internal transformation team, that's actually a key in getting that 60% of the organization to move. That's what creates momentum. That's what actually creates effective change. And we find again that if you'll do a good job in thinking through how you build an internal team, it becomes a significant part of that change effort.